Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm in my BMW E90 320D and I made a video regarding the DPF in this thing. The fact that I, for whatever reason, could just not get it to regenerate. And yeah, I was having quite a few issues. It was very annoying. I was having every so often, every 10 miles or so, the DPF error pop up on the iDrive, followed by an error message on the dash as well. And yeah, I couldn't seem to get to the bottom of it. I did give it a scan with ISTA. I did seem to have two fault codes, I believe. I think one of them was just for, I believe it said something along the lines of just particulate filter. Then there was one that was sort of semi-frequently occurring, which was for the back pressure sensor, I believe. But I really don't think that I have any issues with the DPF itself and with the back pressure sensor itself. So I am pleased to announce that I have pretty much solved the issue. I have finally got the DPF to regenerate and everything seems to be good. I've noticed my MPG has increased quite a bit. I went on about 400-mile round trip, and after I'd done the DPF regeneration, I noticed that I gained between 5 and 10 MPG on the motorway, which for me is massive. The fact that I was able to average 60 MPG plus at 70 miles an hour is, you know, is spectacular, really, isn't it? But yeah, in this video, I kind of just want to go into a bit about DPF regeneration and how you can achieve it if you are having some, if you are experiencing some issues. So, first and foremost, there are quite a few parameters that you need to reach to, regenerate your DPF. Now, it does vary from car to car, from manufacturer to manufacturer. Now, for this particular car, this BMW E90 3 Series, there are a few things that are fact. You need to have at least 10 litres of fuel. I did initially think it was more than that. I thought it may have been a quarter of a tank, maybe a half a tank, but it is just 10 litres of fuel. So yes, you need to have at least 10 litres of fuel in the fuel tank. Another parameter that you need to reach, you need to be consistently hitting above 75 degrees Celsius in terms of the coolant temperature. Now, like I said, different models may vary, but if you're not reaching 75 degrees Celsius in your coolant temperature, you will not, your DPF will not regenerate. So if you have a faulty thermostat, that's a good reason why your DPF may not be regenerating as it should. Another thing to consider is your glow plugs. If all of your glow plugs are not working as they should, if you have error codes for your glow plugs, your DPF will not regenerate. So make sure that your glow plugs are working as they should. Give your car a scan and make sure you don't have any fault codes for the glow plugs. Now, this car is at 155,000 miles. Chances are the glow plugs have been replaced by now. They usually like to fail around the 100,000 mile mark, so yeah, I would say there's a good chance that these have already been replaced. There's no issues with the glow plugs. I know they're all working fine. What are some other things? Now, in the previous video, I did talk about the exhaust temperatures. Now, I don't really know if that is a big factor. I don't know if you have to really focus too much on trying to get your exhaust temperatures high. I think that your car, your DPF should regenerate once you have reached these parameters that I've just mentioned. So the coolant temperature over 75 degrees Celsius, all 4 glow plugs are working, and what's the other thing? Oh yeah, you have at least 10 litres of fuel. A DPF should regenerate at this point, and for a regular regeneration it should take around 20 minutes. Now, if your DPF is completely blocked, it may take 40, 45, 50 minutes, so just bear that in mind. Now then, the big point that I want to make in this video, and it was the issue that I was experiencing and the issue that I couldn't seem to get around, and that was the fact that your DPF will not regenerate if you have fault codes for the DPF. Yes, I know that sounds so bizarre, doesn't it? I mean, you're having a fault code saying that you need to regenerate your DPF, but your DPF cannot regenerate because that fault code exists. Doesn't make any sense at all, to be honest, but that just is what it is. I guess you're not really supposed to let the car get to that level that it comes up with the error message. Of course, if things were working smoothly and it was doing what it was supposed to do, then it would just sort of regenerate, you know, pretty regularly. But I guess if you are only going on short journeys, you're not getting the car up to temperature, and you're not driving for sustained periods of time, then you are not going to be, you know, regenerating the DPF regularly. So what did I do to get around this issue? Because obviously, if I was just to clear the codes regularly with ISTA and then take it for a drive, the fault codes would come back, and of course it wouldn't regenerate. So this is what I'd done then. I got my girlfriend in the car, and she was sat in the passenger seat. Now, instead of using ISTA, I actually used IMPA. Now, IMPA is a very basic diagnostic system for BMW. I think it's been around since the early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's very basic, and it's actually a lot quicker to use than ISTA, but it just doesn't have the same capabilities that ISTA does. But one of the good things is that the fact that you can clear the fault code without having to switch off your ignition, which if you do that in ISTA D, I believe you have to switch off your ignition. So obviously you can't do that while you're driving. So yeah, this is what we done then. So obviously I took it on the motorway, got the engine up to temperature above 75 degrees Celsius, made sure that it had more than 10 litres of fuel in the tank. I think I had like over half a tank. And then yeah, just drove pretty normally. I didn't have the revs excessively high. I think there might have been about 2,500 RPM or so. And then I just got my girlfriend to go onto IMPA and then read out the error memory. And then obviously I was getting the fault codes come back for the DPF, the two fault codes that I mentioned earlier. But then what she would do is clear them. And then she would read them again, and then clear them, and then read and clear, and then just keep clearing them while I was driving, of course, at the you know, at a consistent speed on the motorway, with all of the regeneration parameters met. And basically, the car then, you know, the DPF then did go into regeneration. So it was just a case of kind of tricking the car to, you know, clear these error messages, and then the DPF would finally regenerate. And I must say, once we checked after about an hour of doing this, yeah, it's a good 45 minutes to an hour, we got to a point where we would try to read the error messages and they was gone. So I was feeling pretty confident at that time. And then, like I said, I carried on for another 20 minutes, half an hour or so, just to make sure that a DPF was being completed. I then went back into ISTA and I checked the regeneration status to see when the last regeneration was, and I think it was like, it said about 4 kilometers ago. So that's confirmation right there that the DPF did regenerate. And guys, honestly, if you are experiencing this same issue, I can pretty much assure you that this will regenerate your DPF. Yeah, if you have fault codes for your DPF is not going to regenerate by itself. But if you can get someone in the car and clear the fault codes while you are driving at a consistent speed, you know, meeting all the parameters that I mentioned earlier, then you should be able to force a regeneration. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it, to be honest. I did say I was going to keep you guys updated with regards to the situation, but now the DPF should regenerate as normal. Like I said, we don't have any fault codes stored now. So as long as we take this car, or the next owner takes on, you know, regular long drives, the DPF should be fine. Now, I did get a bunch of people saying, oh, you need to remove the DPF to clean it, you need to replace the DPF. Now, realistically, a DPF should never ever need to be replaced. If it gets to the point where you are, you know, where it is completely blocked, and I'm talking about being blocked with ash, which ash doesn't get burnt off, it's the soot that gets burnt off. If it gets blocked up with ash and it simply won't regenerate for that reason, then yes, you may have to remove it to clean it, but you should always be able to clean it physically. You shouldn't ever have to simply replace it. You would only have to replace it if like the DPF ceramic material inside like broke up or something like that, or you had a hole through it or something. That's only realistically a reason to physically replace it. You should always be able to clean the DPF. But yeah, I'm not going to ramble on too much. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Hopefully I've managed to answer a few of you guys' questions, and yeah, I hope this video has just been helpful, to be honest, because it was a very annoying issue. I was like, why is it not regenerating? You know, I'm wasting all this fuel trying to get it to regenerate, but I found out what the issue was in the end. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it anyway. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one. Peace!